Okay, and good afternoon, everybody. I would like to welcome a guest on the Hangout today, but as usual, I'm not going to start straight away because I can see, I think you've still got a bit of a delay on joining. So I'm just going to talk very generally for a couple of minutes and keep an eye on the viewing numbers, which is looking at 0 at the moment. So it's pretty boring talking to myself. So I'll wait, and hopefully a number of you will be joining in shortly. So we're now, gosh, almost at the end of topic 2, and it's been great. I've been seeing a fair bit of tweeting going on, people sharing their stuff. So we'd like to encourage you to do more of that, and we'll be saying a bit about that in this session this morning, and also introducing you to topic 3. I haven't yet seen many entries for the Twitter challenge, so again, that's something else we'll be looking at, and I'll be trying to encourage more of you to contribute your suggested accounts to follow, which I think will be great for everyone in the group. I'm still getting a 0 on the viewers, so I'm just going to check the other page a minute and see if there's any comments. We're still missing Olya as well. Hopefully she will join us very shortly. Okay, so it looks like there's a number of you planning to watch. No comments. Okay. Right, we've just gone up to 5 viewers. Brilliant. So it looks like the technology is kicking in. Excellent. Right, I'm just going to switch on the questions. Okay, so perhaps you could, good morning, excellent. Good, so yeah, don't forget any questions or smiley faces, stick them up here in the Q&A section, and that's good, so I know at least one of you can see us. Right, so we'll get started then. I'd like to introduce Christina Costa to you today. As I mentioned yesterday when we had a look at the topic 2 materials, I've actually linked to one of Chris's articles that she wrote a couple of years ago, which is all about online identity. So I thought it would be good for you to actually meet her in person. She's based in Scotland, so she's sat there in a very dark Scottish morning. It's a very dark English morning here too, but I think it's even darker up there. So we're up to 10 viewers now. Brilliant. Okay. So thank you, Chris, for joining us this morning, and it would be great if you could perhaps introduce yourself in a minute. I'm just waffling on slightly because I can see the viewing numbers are still going up, and I'll pass over to Chris in a minute to just introduce herself and talk a little bit about online identity, and it would be great if you've got some questions specifically for Chris that you want to perhaps include or reflect upon in your topic 2 answers. So it would be really good if you could ping those questions up, and we'll try and deal with as many of those as we can as well. Okay, so all right, we're up to 14 now, so that's looking good. So perhaps, Chris, I could pass over to you for a minute. If you could introduce yourself and say a few words, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so hello everyone. And I don't know if it's good morning or good afternoon. It's probably good afternoon for you. It's like Lisa said, it's a very dark morning here, but that's the way it goes. I'm Christina Costa, and I'm currently working at the University of Strathclyde, where I'm a lecturer in technology enhanced learning, and I've been collaborating with Lisa in kind of around these topics. I'm also developing a similar course with BA students at the University of Strathclyde, where we've been looking at this kind of issues as well. An area that I'm particularly interested in is digital identities. So how we portray ourselves online, how we network and create a digital footprint that allow people to see the kind of activities that we're engaged in, and in return the kind of the networks that we form by doing that. So I am aware that that you are dealing with this topic today, and I'm very keen to discuss some of the areas in this topic. If we were to kind of give you here a couple of tips about this topic, what I think it's important is that you create a digital footprint um, around different tools and different networks that are of your interest professionally, having a consistent image of yourself, so sharing a consistent image of yourself. And this is not only with regards to the usernames that you use, but to the pictures that you use, and then the kind of messages that you send out, so that it kind of when people start seeing yourselves in those networks, they start connecting that icon, that presence, and that the message that you send with your entire digital footprint, so that it kind of creates a robust footprint. So that's for me one of the key areas. The other area would be that you have a hub, which could be a blog or a website where people can come in and have a kind of already a space where you aggregate all the presences and all the accounts that you have created online to create that image of yourself. And I'm always talking a bit more from the professional side. Obviously, online and using social media as a social component, so it becomes a kind of more of a social professional identity that you create for yourself. So it means that it's a bit probably there's the social components that kind of bring people together. Is almost the glue of the network. So it's not just a dry page with kind of more factual information about you. It's a bit about what kind of things you do, what are your interests, what kind of areas you're engaged in. And it's the recording of that online through the different networks, be it Instagram, be it Twitter, be it the blog, that gives a robust and rounded image of yourself, so that kind of identity. So that's very important. And the last aspect before we kind of move on to discussion, which I think is more important, is to kind of choose your networks well and choose the people that you engage with. So obviously, if you are interested in music and you follow people like Justin Bieber or like celebrities, that is not going to increase your network circles. It's not going to bring a lot of in a way, a lot of return to your networks, and to what you want to achieve. But you start following people that are in the same areas or areas that complement your area, then the networks are going to start to grow. And as you engage more with them, then you start seeing the benefits. So as much as you put in, then you start to get something back. But that needs to, again, online presence needs to be an active one, because if you're online and you're not talking to people, people are not going to realize that. So that's a big difference in relation to a face-to-face scenario where people can acknowledge your presence. Online, you need to make that presence active for people to realize it. So it's important that you not only choose your networks well, that they link to your interests and your professional goals, but that you communicate with them. And that step sometimes can be a bit daunting, especially if you haven't met those people, those persons before. But it's trying to engage in a kind of more casual way, where you ask a question or you answer a question. So it's starting to weave those networks in a more spontaneous way, and they start growing organically. So I'll just leave it at that, and I'm kind of happy to engage in a little bit of discussion around these topics, if that's okay.
Great. Thanks very much, Chris. Perhaps then I could invite people, if you've got any specific questions, please stick them in the box. I know it takes a little while to come through, so we'll just chat for a bit and give you a bit of space to do that. But if you've got any specific questions that relate to what you've been reading and writing about around this topic, then please add them into the box here on the right-hand side. So perhaps in the meantime, Chris, I could just ask you what your view is. I know some people in the group have set up separate accounts for the module, and they're quite keen to keep their social lives separate from the networks they're building up for professional and educational purposes. Is that something that you would agree with?
I do have a very particular view around that, and it relates also to time management. I know that the literature is starting to kind of go divergent on that, with some people wanting to have separate identities and some people wanting to merge them. I'm more on the side that we should just keep one identity, because we have different facets, and those when we kind of play different roles in our lives, but that is all part of us. So on a face-to-face scenario, you are yourself, and you are yourself as a friend, you are yourself as a teacher or as a researcher, you are yourself professionally and socially, and those things do tend to at some point to collide. So I'm much more for just one identity that provides kind of a more robust aspect, because the other thing that you have to kind of take into consideration with the social media is that you start to reveal a little bit more about yourself than just the serious professional individual, and that's what appeals to people, is that kind of more social emotional aspect of the way you communicate, because it makes you more approachable, it makes you more friendly. Now I know that some people have some kind of interest in keeping their social life apart. As we've seen in the news very recently, nothing is private these days. So if we take the celebrity scandal of the iCloud leaking of pictures, that's a good example. It's an extreme example, but I think it's one that is important to bear in mind, that nothing is private these days, and things can be leaked outside through different ways. So my advice is that, and that's obviously is my personal take, what works for me is to keep an identity that is social professional, where people can see a little bit of me that is not just the serious professional, but is the human part, the one that the social emotional aspect is very important. So I um, do keep just one identity, where I might say a joke that is harmless, that is just part of who I am, so people get to know me a little bit more. So I do, that's my approach, and that has to do with the fact that I think that that gives a fairer image of myself as not only as a professional but as a human being. So I'm not sure if I answered the question.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Oh, we got Olya's just beamed in as well. So that's great. We'll bring you in a second. I've just seen there we have a question here from Evan. I don't know if can you see the questions on your screen?
Yes, I can. Is the question about having a formal LinkedIn profile and various social media profiles? Is that the one?
Yes. Yes.
I can answer that if you want. I think it's not having multiple identities. They all become part of a bigger one, and that's why I was talking about consistency of how you develop that identity, and how that kind of becomes part the image that you want to portray. So the kind of the digital footprint that you construct as part of the image that you want to share. I think the LinkedIn is very good, especially if you're in business. People are being headhunted to LinkedIn. If you notice, LinkedIn also aggregates Twitter, your blog, any other social presences that you have. So in a way, it's starting to work as a little hub for your identity, and is very good with the web searches, because the algorithm puts it up there very quickly. So that's a space that I encourage people to create as part of their digital footprint. I wouldn't see them as separate. I see them as complementary, and then that's the reason why I think it's important to link them all, because the more you link your identities, the likely they are to become more prominent.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm just going to see if we've got any other questions here. I thought there was something just now, but it seems to have disappeared. I hope I didn't delete it by mistake. If I've deleted someone's question, please re-ask it because I didn't do it on purpose. So I'm pretty sure there was something else there just now. So yeah, please feel free to bring in any other questions for Chris. So perhaps while you're thinking about that, I could just ask Olya, have you got anything that you want to raise this morning? Any queries or issues at all?
No, nothing. I think nearly everyone is kind of up and going and well on their way to topic 2. I think there's only one person left that I haven't heard from, but I think everyone else is fully connected up and everything is done. Yeah, no, that's it from me.
Okay, fantastic. And so I'm not seeing any other questions. Perhaps, Chris, I could just ask you to talk a little bit about the research that we're planning to do, and we're looking for volunteers.
Oh yes, that's very exciting. This is a very innovative and a new approach to how people are teaching, and Lisa has been the pioneer on this, and the people at Southampton. So and I kind of have been very lucky to in a way to be part, and we're trying to do a little bit of research around this development of the curriculum in this way, but also the engagement with these ideas. And so we're trying to do a little bit of research about this because, as you probably have noticed from your own study, there is not a lot of research published in this area. And so we would like to kind of contribute to this area. So we'll be doing some focus groups about your experiences in the course and your in your experiences with dealing with these kind of topics and your views. So we would like to invite you to take part in some focus groups down the line, and we would be more than welcome if you, we're more than thankful if you agree to join us.
Great, thank you. Yes, so I'll be sending some information about that. We plan to do this after the module finishes, obviously. But if anyone is interested, then just drop us a tweet or get in touch, and we can tell you a bit more. But it would basically just involve being part of a small group hangout like this. So we might have across the bottom 4 or 5 of you, and we'd all have a discussion, and we'd record it. So that's what we plan to do, just to get some feedback from you about your experiences of the module when you've finished and what you've learned, and how you perhaps compare learning in this way with more traditional means of learning. So more about that later. I've just seen we've got another question from, okay, great, Evan again. Thank you. I have another question. You mentioned that the social emotional aspects would help build our main identity. Is it possible then to give an example of what multiple identities are? I am slightly confused.
So when people talk about multiple identities is when they, in a way, separate them so that they are no resemblance from one to the other. So some people like to keep everything separate. So they will create a blog and they'll create a Twitter, but they will use it for different purposes. And so they're not connecting. They're not, in a way, building on the first identity to kind of enhance it with other tools. So if you blog, you could use Twitter to disseminate it through a wider network. But if you're using Twitter for purely social purposes, say that you have an interest in a particular kind of music and you're using it just to connect to people that are interested in that topic and that does not relate to your professional activity, then you're separating those identities. You're creating 2 different digital footprints, one that is merely interested in music and one that is interested in your professional activity. So as people don't connect them, you're not kind of, in a way, taking advantage of linking those profiles because you're using it to 2 different and separate purposes. So that's the point of multiple identities, is when people don't want to be tracked in different networks for the same purpose.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think there's another aspect to this which is perhaps outside the scope of this module, but in some parts of the world, some people will feel they perhaps have to create separate identities because they may feel that they are persecuted
Yes.
for being who they are or what they believe in, and so that they, for very good reasons, they feel that they have to hide that and only actually put across that aspect of their lives to a very select, trusted group of people. So you can read lots of sort of articles about that, particularly with regard to the Middle East situation at the moment. But that's probably a little bit beyond what we can go into, and certainly that we can solve on this module. But I just thought it was worth pointing out. Okay, so any other questions, anybody, or any smiley faces? Are you all still awake? Hopefully you can hear us and see us okay. We've got 23 people watching, apparently. Just a few practical points while we just check. Got another question. Okay. Carol, this time. There is an increased emphasis on security and privacy issues with regard to online identity. What are your views on the negative aspect of having exposed so much in the digital sphere? Good question.
Yeah, obviously there are the negative sides that people, if you expose yourself in ways that are not appropriate, let's say, then it can fire back at you. And so my rule of thumb for this kind of aspect is to kind of adopt a conduct that is very similar to the way you act in public in a face-to-face scenario, which means you use your online identity, and your online participation is based on the same rules that you would do in public. So what is socially acceptable to put online or to say face-to-face is the kind of things that you should do online. I sometimes think that the screen creates a shield, a protection for people to kind of take a more deviant behavior that is more unacceptable, and that's what gets people in trouble. So I never see that kind of the privacy aspect is you need to think that nothing is really private online, because the dimensions of privacy that on face-to-face of you being confined to the privacy of your home or to the trust of a friend is not the same thing online, because more people have access to that information, so that the privacy is more diluted, and that needs to be taken into account. So my rule of thumb in that sense is that don't publish anything that you wouldn't be proud of, that does not represent who you are, or that will not put you in a good position for the kind of activities that you do. In terms of security, obviously it's a little bit more different. Again, we have similar issues to face-to-face, like you are exposed and likely to kind of suffer any kind of felony acts, because people could come to your house and rob you. Those things do happen, and we're all subject to it. When it comes to online, you have the same kind of aspects with people hacking your accounts, misusing your details. So those are things that can be overcome with the use of robust passwords, with the fact that you shouldn't repeat your passwords in different accounts, that you should change them on a regular basis, and that you shouldn't provide personal information that is not necessary. So for instance, there are networks that will ask for your birthday. If that is not a compulsory field, maybe you shouldn't put that in. Your personal address, your personal phone number, these are information aspects that should not be shared online, because you already have the networks for them to connect to. So it's taking those kind of measures to kind of, in a way, try to be safer.
Yes, thanks, Chris. I think it's important to mention that you can get very scared by a few examples that we hear in the press of people having their identity stolen, or other nasty things that have happened, cyberbullying, things like that, for example. But it's also important to remember that we tend to just hear the negative side. It isn't really a news story if something really positive happens online as a result of this kind of communication. And so I think it's very important to have a balanced view on this. And I mean, it wouldn't be a news headline for a paper to print, student gets job as a result of social media activity. But that happens a lot. It's just it's not something that other people would get to hear about to any great extent. So please don't feel that you've got to delete all your profiles immediately. Because as Chris said, a lot of these issues are not only rare, but they also just mirror what we face in so-called real life as well. Aren't necessarily connected directly to our online activity. Is that a fair point?
Yeah, right. It's the same thing with when if you want to give the identity theft example again, there are people forging passports all the time, and that does not come in the news anymore. But if there's one that is online because it's so new, it is likely to be a news item. But it is the same thing as with online. You don't leave your accounts open or by using very predictable passwords, just like you don't leave the door of your house open for people and you go away. It's taking those kind of steps to ensure that you're okay. And it's just it's just as we act in face-to-face life.
Okay. Are any comments from you on this? Any?
Yeah. I tend to kind of be on a little bit on the skeptical side. Although I'm quite happy with being on the social media, and I've had a bit of experience, of Twitter and interacting with people. I do kind of ask these questions when I'm joining things, or you kind of have to maintain your kind of skeptical side and ask why do they want this particular information about me? Do you know how they're going to use it as well? It's not just, oh, you're going to put that in and nothing's ever going to happen with it. The companies whose services you're going to be using, you should kind of check out what they're likely to do with your information. I'm not sure how much you can do about it, but you always have the option not to join. But I guess that's kind of going too far. But yeah, I think definitely awareness is key, so that you're not surprised when if you join a service you start getting a lot of spam. Sometimes that happens. But from the security point of view, I think provided you're kind of reasonably careful with your passwords, hopefully you won't be the unlucky one that something nasty happens to. And so yeah, it's you kind of have to balance it out.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. I'm going to put out a final call for questions then, and just while you're typing or thinking or sending smileys, just a little bit of admin about where we've got to. And don't forget that we need your topic 2 reflective posts by the end of today, which is coming up fairly soon for you, in about 6 hours' time, I believe. Not sure how my maths works, but anyway, fairly soon. And then you'll be starting topic 3 pretty much straight away tomorrow. So we'll post that information for you later on today, and we will get the feedback to you on your topic 2 posts just as soon as we can. So we'll be cracking on with that. The timing isn't quite so friendly to us for topic 2 because we did at least have Saturday and Sunday on topic 1. So we're going to have to be really efficient, aren't we, Oya, about how how we turn this around. So we'll do our best to get it to you as quickly as possible. And I'm still not seeing any questions. Or
maybe just ask if everyone's managed to get hold of their individual feedback? Has everyone managed to see their Google Doc?
Yeah, so if we could have some comments on that, that would be good. And I've not had any queries back overnight from anyone, so I'm assuming that if we don't get a query that you're happy and you've got the information. But so please, if you think you're missing anything or you've got any questions about anything we've sent to you, then please do raise them, because we won't know otherwise. We don't want anyone to suffer in silence. So please let us know if you've got any queries where you feel that you're missing out. You certainly should have, as well as the general feedback, you should have an individual feedback sheet, and we'll be sending that to you again when we've marked topic 2, and it will then have 2 tables on it, one for topic 1, one for topic 2. So we'll be using that same document throughout the module, just adding the feedback to it topic by topic. All right, so don't want anyone to miss out on that, because we do spend quite a bit of time doing it, and it would be a real shame if you didn't see it. So I'm still not seeing any questions or comments. Please, could someone just give us a smiley face just to let us know that you're still there and you're okay? That would be brilliant. Fantastic. Great. Thank you, Evelina and Evan. That's brilliant. Thanks for letting us know. And that's really our biggest issue with this technology. It's great that we can bring a group of us together to talk to you, but because we can't see you, we don't know whether you're kind of attentively or smiling or asleep. So thank you for sending those through. Right. So my final point then is that don't forget, all of this goes to YouTube. So you'll shortly be able to view it. If you've missed anything or you weren't there at the beginning, then you can see all of this. Great, thanks, Zoe. You can see all of this on the YouTube channel. You can get to the YouTube channel either from the tweets that I send after the broadcast, or else if you just go to the course blog, on the right-hand side of the course blog is a little round button that takes you straight to YouTube, so you can get to them from there. So there's a recording of each of the Hangouts so far on YouTube for you. Right, so I think we're going to end there for today. I'd like to thank Chris very much for beaming in and getting up so early. It's very kind, and you'll meet her again if you join in with the research. I've got a comment here, Evelina. Thanks. Really like how Christina pointed out about how we should act like we're in real public. Yeah, that's a really key point. It's probably a good aspect to leave on. We don't want to dwell too much on cybercrime and cyberbullying and all of these nasty negative things, because I think it's important to remember that there's lots of very positive benefits we get out of these tools that we just perhaps don't hear quite so much about. So thanks for that, Evelina. Right, so we're going to sign off now then. You can connect with Chris through Twitter. I've already tweeted yesterday a link. It's at Christina Cost. So you're welcome to connect with her. And any other points from either of you before we sign off? Nope, I'm getting a deafening silence all around. Oh, you're on the screen. Chris, do you want to say just cheerio?
Thank you so much for having.
Oh, sorry. All right, we're going now then. Thank you both of you very much, and thanks to all of you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Okay, we're signing off now. Bye.
Bye.